This is the pattern that's been laid down for Muslims by their prophet.
क्योंकि इस्लामिक दिमाग जो है बिल्कुल साफ है। जहां वो माइनॉरिटी में है उनका व्यवहार क्या होना चाहिए, इस्लाम बिल्कुल साफ सिखाता है। मोहम्मद ने जो सीरा और हदीस में कहा उसमें बिल्कुल स्पष्ट लिखा। जहां वो मेजॉरिटी में वहां दूसरी व्यवहार होती है।
A little confusing. You meet a Muslim at the grocery store, nicest person in the world, cute kids, loves America. Later that day, you turn on your television and wait a minute, some other Muslim just blew up the grocery store. What's going on here? Who represents Islam? The peaceful Muslim buying tomatoes or the violent Muslim bombing tomatoes? Fact. Jihad proceeds in stages. There are 3 stages in the call to jihad, depending on the status of Muslims in a society. And if you understand these 3 stages, you'll understand Islam, 14 centuries of Islamic history, and the situation we're in right now. Stage 1. Stealth jihad. When Muslims are completely outnumbered and can't possibly win a physical confrontation with unbelievers, they're commanded to promote peace with non-Muslims and to preach a message of tolerance. For instance, when Muhammad and his followers were a persecuted minority in Mecca, they criticized the beliefs of the polytheists, but they did so peacefully. The revelations Muhammad received during this time proclaimed a future judgment for unbelievers. Allah will one day punish those who reject Muhammad. But in the meantime, to each his own. Live and let live. Coexist.
उसमें दारुल हरब में मुसलमान को क्या करना चाहिए, मांगते रहना चाहिए। यही मुल्ला भी सिखाता है और यही सिरा में लिखी है, हदीस में लिखी है। तो पहले कहेंगे कि नहीं, यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड हमें पसंद नहीं है, हमें अलग से शरिया के अनुसार होनी चाहिए। अब वो सिर्फ शादी विवाह में मांगेंगे अलग से कोड। क्रिमिनल कोड अभी भी आज हिंदुस्तान हिंदू और मुसलमान के लिए एक ही है।
Tells us,
Say, O unbelievers, I do not serve that which you serve, nor do you serve him whom I serve, nor am I going to serve that which you serve, nor are you going to serve him whom I serve. You shall have your religion, and I shall have my religion. Muslims in the West point to passages like this as evidence that Islam is inherently peaceful. But we know from Muslim sources that while Muhammad was calling for religious tolerance in Mecca, he was already planning to conquer the world in the name of Allah. He even tried to lure pagans to Islam by promising them victory over the non-Arabs. Let's look at a passage.
तो मैंने मेरे शाहिद साबुद्दीन मेरे अच्छे मित्र हैं, उनसे मैंने पूछा ये क्यों है कि आप यूनिफॉर्म क्रिमिनल कोड भी मांगिए, क्योंकि आप पकड़े जाएंगे तो आपके हाथ काट देंगे। यही है, शरिया में लिखा है कि चोरी करते हुए पकड़ा जाएंगे तो क्या सजा होनी चाहिए, वो भिन्न है। ये कि कोर्ट में हाजिर हो, वकील करें, बहस, ये सब नहीं है, उनका दूसरा तरीका है। परंतु वो दारुल हरब में नहीं मांगेंगे, दारुल इस्लाम होगा तो मांगेंगे, उसको मानना पड़ेगा।
Goes back to Muhammad. One of the key features of stage 1 is taqiyya, concealing Islam's true intentions in order to protect the Muslim community. This was eventually made explicit in Surah 3:28. Let not the believers take disbelievers for their friends in preference to believers. Whoso doeth that hath no connection with Allah, unless it be that ye but guard yourselves against them, taking, as it were, security. Muslims aren't allowed to be friends with non-Muslims unless they're outnumbered and they feel like they're in danger from a stronger adversary. That's when Muslims are told to pretend to be friendly. One of Islam's greatest scholars, Ibn Kathir, comments, in this case, such believers are allowed to show friendship outwardly, but never inwardly. Abu Darda, one of Muhammad's companions, put it this way, we smile in the face of some people, although our hearts curse them.
आरक्षण, ये आरक्षण किसके लिए? क्योंकि मुसलमान गरीब है। तो क्या हमारे देश में ब्राह्मण गरीब नहीं है? क्या हमारे देश में क्षत्रिय गरीब नहीं है? तो किस को देना चाहिए रिजर्वेशन?
Another key feature of stage 1 is victim status. Muslims like to pretend that Muhammad and his followers were persecuted in Mecca simply because they were Muslims. Total nonsense. They were persecuted for antagonizing the Meccans by mocking their beliefs. We read in At-Tabari, Stage 2, Defensive Jihad. When there are enough Muslims and resources to defend the Islamic community from attacks, persecution, or criticism, Muslims are called to engage in defensive jihad, fighting unbelievers who pose a physical or intellectual threat to Islam. After the city of Yathrib, now called Medina, agreed to protect the Muslim community, Muhammad and his followers left Mecca, and they were given permission to fight. Surah 22, 39 to 40.
फिर जहां मुसलमान पावर में नहीं है, मेजॉरिटी में नहीं है, उसको दारुल हरब कहते हैं। और खासकर दारुल हरब वो जगह है जहां मेजॉरिटी पिलपिला है, संयुक्त नहीं।
Now that Muhammad had several non-Muslim groups ready to defend him, he turned to the primary tactic of Stage 2, terrorism. The people of Mecca depended on the caravan trade for their survival. Anyone who had money would invest it, hoping to get back something extra to feed their families. If a caravan was robbed or didn't return, children might starve. So instead of living a peaceful life in Medina, Muhammad started attacking the Meccan caravans. Muslims launched 7 attacks against the caravans, and the Meccans never retaliated. During the 7th attack, Muslims killed a man, and they took the goods and some captives as well. The problem was that it was still the holy month when everyone agreed not to fight. Muhammad was a bit worried about this at first, but then he received Surah 2, 2:17. Stage 2 then is characterized by defensive fighting those who attack the Muslim community in some way. What we need to get our minds around, however, is that Muslims have a much broader definition of what constitutes an attack than anything we're familiar with. Persecution and military aggression certainly count as attacks, but as we've seen, criticizing Islam counts as an attack. Backing out of alliances after you figure out Muhammad's true intentions counts as an attack. And in the defensive jihad stage, Muslims are ordered to respond to these attacks with physical violence and terrorism. Stage 3, offensive jihad. When Muslims establish a majority and achieve political power in an area, they are commanded to begin offensive jihad. Once Mecca and Arabia were under Muhammad's control, the message of the Quran changed yet again. Suddenly, Muslims weren't just told to fight against aggressors. They were commanded to fight non-Muslims simply for being non-Muslims.
As the Holy Quran tells us,
O Prophet, strive hard against the unbelievers and the hypocrites, and be unyielding to them. Surely Allah has bought of the believers their persons and their property for this, that they shall have the garden. They fight in Allah's way, so they slay and are slain. O you who believe, fight those of the unbelievers who are near to you, and let them find in you hardness.
tolerance, tolerance, tolerance.
If Muslims have the military strength to expand their political power and to violently subjugate non-Muslim populations, forcing these non-Muslims to pay tribute, the Quran commands them to do so. Surah 9:29.
As the Holy Quran tells us,
Fight those who believe not in Allah nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden which hath been forbidden by Allah and His Messenger, nor acknowledge the religion of truth from among the people of the book, until they pay the jizya with willing submission and feel themselves subdued. This verse doesn't order Muslims to fight oppressors or even critics. It orders Muslims to fight those who don't believe in Allah.
दिवाली मनाने चाहते हैं, नहीं मनाने देते। घर के अंदर मना सकते हैं, नहीं, घर के अंदर भी नहीं मना सकते।
We find similar teachings in Islam's most trusted collections of ahadith. Sahih al-Bukhari 69:24. Muhammad said, I've been ordered to fight the people till they say, La ilaha illallah. None has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and whoever said, La ilaha illallah, Allah will save his property and his life from me.
जहाँ वो मेजॉरिटी में, वहाँ दूसरी व्यवहार होती है। सऊदी अरेबिया में आप मंदिर नहीं बना सकते, जो हमारे भारतीय वहाँ काम के लिए गए हैं, मंदिर बनाना चाहते नहीं बनाने देते।
Sahih Muslim, number 30. Muhammad said, I've been commanded to fight against people so long as they do not declare that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad didn't say, I've been commanded to fight people until they stop persecuting us. That would be stage 2. It's stage 3. And the same guy who complained just a few years earlier that people were persecuting him because of his beliefs now says he's been commanded to fight people based on what they believe. Total hypocrisy.
तो उनके देश में बिल्कुल उनका दिमाग साफ है कि माइनॉरिटी है तो बस उनको सेकंड क्लास स्टेटस ही मिल सकता है और उसको दारुल इस्लाम कहते हैं.
Intensive jihad stage, Muslims can also expel Christians and Jews from lands they've been living in for centuries in order to keep certain areas that are important to the Muslim community pure. Areas such as Arabia. In Sahih Muslim 4366, Muhammad says, I will expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula and will not leave any but Muslims. He won't leave anyone but Muslims. Is this a man who promoted religious diversity and tolerance? Only when he was in the minority. As soon as Muslims had control of the government, diversity and tolerance went out the window, along with the Jews and Christians.
मुसलमान का दिमाग साफ. कश्मीर में मेजॉरिटी में है, हिंदू का हाल क्या है? भगा दिया उन्होंने 5 लाख लोगों को. लोग कहते हैं उनको वापस जाना चाहिए. कैसे जाएंगे वापस? और छोटी छोटी जगह में भी जहां मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी में आते हैं उनका रुख बदल जाता है. और रुख बदल जाता है क्योंकि उनको धर्म ये सिखाता है. मेरठ में मेजॉरिटी आ रहे हैं, वहां स्थिति बदल गई. मऊ में वहां जो है मेजॉरिटी जो है शहरों में, वहां जाकर हिंदुओं की हाल देखनी चाहिए. अभी हैदराबाद में जो हैदराबाद शहर में एरिया है मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी की, वहां वो कहते हैं कि रामनवमी की मंदिरों में घंटी नहीं बजानी चाहिए, हम डिस्टर्ब हो जाते. और सरकार ने भी उसकी बात मान. तमिलनाडु में मुसलमान सिर्फ 5% है, लेकिन ऐसे 40 टाउन पंचायत हैं जहां मुसलमान मेजॉरिटी में. वहां जाकर देखने से आपको पता लगता है कि कैसे स्पष्ट दिमाग के हैं ये मुसलमान समुदाय. मैंने वहां एक बार उन्होंने कहा कि कृपया हमारे छोटा सा गांव एक टाउन पंचायत एरिया उसमें आ जाइए, देखिए क्या हमारी हाल है. मैं गया था. बिल्लोर एक शहर है, उस शहर के पास एक मेल विशालम टाउन पंचायत है. वहां गया, 75% मुस्लिम है, 25% हिंदू है. और चुनाव होती है लोकल बॉडीज इलेक्शन में तो मुसलमान पूर्ण रूप से जीतते हैं. और मुसलमान ने 20 साल से हिंदुओं को कहा तुम धर्म परिवर्तन कर दो, सारे दे देंगे, स्कूल बिल्डिंग बना देंगे, सड़क बना देंगे, कूड़ा साफ कर देंगे, सारी जो एमिनिटीज टाउन पंचायत से मिल सकती है वो मिल जाएगी, वरना कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. और मैंने जाकर अपनी आंखों से देखा कि जहां मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी है वहां सारी कुछ डेवलपमेंट हो गई, परंतु जहां हिंदू की एरिया है वहां ना सड़क टूटा फूटा पड़ा हुआ था और कूड़ा को उठाया नहीं गया, स्कूल बिल्डिंग सब टूट रहे थे. तब मैंने पूछा कि आपने एमएलए को बताया? उन्होंने कहा एमएलए कहता है कि आपके पास तो वोट ही नहीं है, उनके पास ही वोट है, मैं कैसे आपका साथ.
Now look around the world and tell me what you see. Saudi Arabia, what stage are they in? Stage 3, obviously. Massive Muslim majority. Lo and behold, if you're not a Muslim, you can't preach, you can't build a place of worship, you can't even set foot in the city of Mecca. Exactly what we would expect based on the Muslim sources. Certain places in Africa, and I'd say some areas of Europe, are in stage 2. Muslims have enough fighters and resources and alliances to fight defensively. And what do? We see terrorism. We see churches being burned to the ground or blown up in Nigeria and Ethiopia. We see no-go zones forming and critics of Islam being killed, even in Europe. Again, exactly what we would expect based on the Muslim sources. Here in America, where Muslims form a small minority of the population, what stage are we in? Stage 1. What's Islam all about, according to American Muslims? It's all about peace and tolerance. Muslims just want to be like everyone else, but racist hate mongers are attacking them because of their beliefs. That's why we should all be thankful that the government and Christians and Jews are stepping in to defend Muslims from bigots and Islamophobes, just as governments and Christians and Jews stepped in to defend Muslims during the time of Muhammad. My friends, how difficult is this to figure out? What have we discussed that a 6-year-old couldn't understand? Muslims have been using the same playbook for 14 centuries. It's in all their sources. It's as plain as day. And yet our leaders and the media just can't understand why Christians and Jews are second-class citizens in the Muslim world, or why Muslims in Europe are ready to kill over cartoons, or why Muslims in America are so desperate for victim status they'll cry discrimination when a home improvement store doesn't pay for advertising on one of the most boring shows ever. It's all right here. Someone can't understand this, I'd say he doesn't want to understand it. But we've reached a point in history when we can no longer afford to be willfully stupid. If our leaders are incapable of grasping the 3-step strategy of jihadists, they have no business leading a marching band, let alone a Western nation. Unfortunately, Muslims have been so successful in their Stage 1 operations, they've convinced our leaders and the media that the only information we need when it comes to Islam is what's handed to us by terrorist-linked Muslim organizations like CARE. All you need to do is go to my blog, answeringmuslims.com, click on the Jihad tab at the top, and open the 3 Stages of Jihad PDF pamphlet file. You can print this out, fold it up, and give it to those who need to know about jihad, which is pretty much everyone. Islam's greatest ally in the West is ignorance. Jihadists can't subjugate us through physical force, so they're doing their best to subjugate our minds. The ultimate obstacle to global jihad, then, is an informed population of free people. Wouldn't you like to be an obstacle to jihad in Sharia? I know I would. In 2012, let's make a special, freedom-sized effort to educate ourselves and others about the inner workings of the jihadist machine. And let us call our project Operation Monkey Wrench. So this is the pattern that's been laid down for Muslims by their prophet. Stage 1, stealth jihad. When Muslims are too weak to fight, they promote peace and tolerance outwardly but never inwardly. They practice taqiyya, they prepare for jihad behind the scenes, they claim victim status, and they seek special privileges for Islam. Stage 2, defensive jihad. When Muslims are strong enough to fight, but not strong enough to subjugate the unbelievers, they terrorize their enemies, murder critics, and look for excuses to attack other groups. Stage 3, offensive jihad. When Muslims are in the majority, they violently subjugate all non-Muslims, they strive to expand their political dominion, and they rid important Muslim lands of all non-Muslims. This is the pattern we find in the Quran, in the Hadith, and in the Muslim commentaries. I think it's important to add a quick appendix on westernized Muslims. I've said in this video that Muslims in Stage 1 are commanded to deceive non-Muslims in order to keep us ignorant of Islam's violent goals. But if you present this information to your Muslim friends, they're going to deny it. Now, does this mean they're practicing taqiyya? No. When your Muslim friends tell you that Islam is a religion of peace, are they trying to trick you? Probably not. Most Muslims in America have been influenced by Western values more than they've been influenced by Islam. They may pray 5 times a day or fast during Ramadan, but their knowledge of Islam doesn't get much deeper than that. They've read very little of what's in their sources, and they know practically nothing about what we've discussed in this video. So, chances are, when your Muslim friends tell you that Islam is peaceful, they really believe it. No need to accuse them of lying. Sadly, your westernized Muslim friends aren't a source of Islamic doctrine. Islamic doctrine is grounded in the Quran and the Sunnah of Muhammad, and these sources are perfectly clear when it comes to jihad. So I think we need to add another stage to our 3 stages. Stage 0, the totally clueless about jihad stage.